Everybody, it's Peter. It's Sunday night and time for Westworld Season 2. As you can see by this funky coffee mug, my BFF has a sense of humor. It's my birthday the other day, and we did dinner last night. So he got me an itty-bitty bottle of sake, and he got me another coffee mug. I only drink out of one coffee mug. I drink out of a black coffee mug, so you don't see coffee stains easily. You drink out of a white coffee mug, you got to clean it more often. So hey everybody. So tonight was season 2, episode 9. One more episode to go of HBO's Westworld. This episode was called Vanishing Point. And I didn't realize till I was looking at a thread on Facebook that because today is Father's Day, that some of this revolves around fathers. Which I thought was kind of, I didn't clue in at all. I just figured, it's the old William Men in Black episode, which is mostly this is the backstory. You get to find out more about his daughter, what happened with his wife, why she killed herself, and actually, there's a bit of an FU from Ford, nicely thrown in, very likely. Just a little bit of actually. Ford is actually messing with the Man in Black in this episode for a little bit when we're looking at the backstory. And there's also, you got a bit of Bernard and Elsie. And Ford is still tormenting Bernard through, in here. But, with some cool camera shots, it's just like, Bernard's hearing him in his head, of course. They'll put Ford either standing here talking to him. It's not just like hearing the voice, that kind of thing. You'll actually see Ford in frame talking to Bernard, even though if somebody was in the shot, like who are you talking to or whatever. We do a little bit more. Actually, before I start, don't forget, if you are new here, sorry I'm a little wonky right now. We've had a bit of a heat wave again. It's 30-something Celsius. Don't ask me to convert to Fahrenheit, but it's bloody warm. Still warm in the house. A little cool outside. But anyway, if you're new here, don't forget, hit subscribe, hit notifications. I do post on a weekly basis. And let's jump into the episode. I'm not going to get too spoilery with this because this is also right up there with, what was it, Kiksoya, last week's episode with Ghost Nation and Ake. That was a really good episode. This was a really good episode. As I joked to somebody else, less shooting, more about character development, and let's just talk about it for a bit. So most of the story is revolving about the night that the Man in Black older William, lost his wife Juliet. Slight confusion on his daughter's name, Emily, because if you go to IMDb, they actually list her as Grace. And I'm not sure how you go in and edit stuff. So at least, like I had to do, actually, there's a, just like Star Trek has a Wikipedia page of their own. Actually, there's a Westworld as well. I will put the link down below. So it's really good research. Actually, the Man in Black section talks about every episode, whether if it's young William episode or if it's a Man in Black episode with tabs. So you can say, like, is he in the episode? No. Is, so you can sort of follow along if you can't happen to fall around. Like I say, can't talk too bloody warm in here. But yeah, that's a good resource. So I'll put the link down below. So yeah, we're basically revolving the whole time. There's still the theory of him being a host, but I said to somebody in a Facebook link too, I said, no, he's not, because there's this thing that Bernard was doing where he stuck a knife in here. You can jack in yourself into one of the little command tablets. And William was trying to do it a couple times, once on himself and one on somebody else that he didn't believe was human or not. And the sad thing is, William is actually really losing his marbles. There's parts of it when we're back to the park and when Emily found him and trying to take care of him, and you find out there's actually rally points where you can, I guess if you get accidentally hurt too much, there's a spot where you can dig out like a little first aid trunk and heal yourself. There's water and bandages and stuff sort of there. And it's like, okay, that's something new. That's kind of cool. And if you remember too, they've always been talking about how they're gathering all this information. There is a bit of a hint again about making what do you call it, replicant hosts, like taking people, which is, if you ever saw the really old 70s movie Future World with Peter Fonda and Blythe Danner, that talked about too, about all the guests coming in there and swapping them out and sending, it was mostly like, the old take out the world leaders and substitute them with robots, that kind of idea. So that's the whole, we hear about that underlying story that's going on. And there's a mention to it. It's actually called the Forge, which is the name. Like there's the cradle that we learned about, but there's supposedly Bernard is talking about a forge. I forget already. But anyway, there's a mention of a forge, which is supposedly the database of all the guest information. And slight spoiler, William doesn't point it out exactly, but when he's talking with Emily, she's like, "Yeah, she wants in on the deal. She wants to find what's going on." And her actual reasoning, excuse me, he's not helping today either. Wow. Emily wants in on the deal to do all this data gathering, I guess, but what she wants to do is she wants to find out really what happened with her mother, why her mother decided to kill herself. And there is a hint on that. There's a bit of a hint when Ford is talking with William at this party, where later after the party, when they go back home, Juliet kills herself, William's wife. It was all nicely done. The acting was really good in this one. It was little bit, everybody got like, ah, kind of thing. I find you don't have to shout or yell to act properly, but some of the other scenes, and you get to see another side of William when he's not at the park, but you actually get to find out, why he is like he is at the park. He's sort of like can't say the word. He gives out his money. He helps out with causes, charities. He's a really nice guy in real life, and I guess maybe. And there is a bit of a confession in the movie, in the episode as well too, about like why is he's such a nice guy in public, but when he goes to the park, why is he an evil bastard? And he talks about that. Good coffee. Actually, not, it's water, but still. That's an inside joke when you're Westworlders. So yeah, so you get to find out more about his backstory, the whole thing. That's what the whole episode is. So it's a definite go watch. There are some kind of twists in there. Like I said, I thought maybe there was a hint that he might be a host, but they do show that he could be human. But then there's another hint of, again, slight spoiler, he's going like, oh, maybe, he's going to stick a knife in his arm too. And it's like, okay, is he a host? Like make up our mind. Like, I can see why people are so confused with this season. It's bloody ridiculous. You're like, which way are we going, kind of thing. But yeah. And there is a slight bit of Teddy and Dolores with a surprise ending at the end of the episode. What's going to happen with those two? They're basically down to those two. They're like so close getting to the valley. They do bump into Ghost Nation. And Ghost Nation is like, in Lakota, you ain't going this way. We're stopping you. And of course, Dolores is not having any of that. She carries on. And mostly with and there's a hint at Maeve. Oh yeah, that's another little thing too. They figured out, if you saw at the end of the last episode, they figured out how, Maeve's got her little Hive Jedi mind trick, link going on with all the other hosts. And Hale and the bearded tech guy figured out how she's doing it. And they actually were going to use another host to do the same thing. And if this host can do the same thing of what Maeve's doing by doing the old, Jedi mind trick, you want to go beat up on each other, that kind of thing. So yeah, they want to again exploit that. You also find out what Ford's more about too. You would think, oh, he's just building the park for whatever else, but you find out there's actually, Ford has a plan what he wants to do with the park, and Dallas has a plan to do with the park. There's a hint at it too about, that when we saw the one project with trying to implant thoughts into James Dallas, and one episode where he kept glitching, like, he'd be good for a period of time, and he would glitch out. They'd have to burn everything down and start from scratch. There was hints at that too, that actually that's a Dallas project. So Ford said, well, I'll let you use that part of the park for that kind of thing, and I left it alone. So that's supposedly where the valley is. What's going on in the valley is something to do with maybe mind controlling. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention too, the slight hint of because Emily does ask her dad, okay, how are you gathering all this data? Great, you're taking imagery and photos of absolutely everything through the host and downloading into a database, but how are you getting the cognitive information? And he just sort of straightens his cowboy hat out a bit, and then she goes like, what? So I guess they rig out the hats, and that's how you tap into the guest's mind. I guess they're not going to get into the, the science and whatever else of how that works. So there you go. You put on your cowboy hat. You're not just by the actions of the people, they're actually somehow mentally tapping in. I guess that's how far the tech has come along and how far in the future we are, that they're actually able to, tap into everybody's mind. It's borderline or past Orwellian of like, it's not Big Brother's watching you. Big Brother's actually reading your thoughts, that kind of thing. So yeah, overall, pretty good episode. I'd really like to see what, I think the last episode is called Passengers. And then we'll have to see how many years we're going to have to wait to see season 3 show up. So despite me not liking the way the story, I just didn't like, it was like excessive violence and just the way Dolores Wyatt was going, that kind of thing. But this one, again, was more about the characters and less about the violence. I think I said that in a previous one, or maybe I said it online. I noticed that season 1 was all about the nudity, and yeah, there was violence too, but this one seemed to be like no nudity, but excessive violence. God bless America. But I put it out to you people. What did you? As always, we will see you in the next one.